President Muhammadu Buhari is urging well-meaning Nigerians to take advantage of the ongoing membership registration and revalidation exercise of the APC to renew their allegiance to the governing party and keep faith with its policies and programs aimed at taking Nigeria to the next level. The president, who made the plea while flagging off the exercise in Daura, Katsina State, once again berated the nation for keeping a blind eye to the giant strides recorded by the administration with so little in terms of resources at its disposal. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has details.
Brief but significant event for the All Progressives Congress as President Muhammadu Buhari formally revalidated his membership status of the governing party. The president was accompanied to the Sarkinyara ward in Daura for the exercise by Senate President Ahmed Lawan, more than 10 APC governors and members of the party's caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee led by Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State. Apart from revalidating their membership by those in the party, the exercise is also an opportunity for prospective members to get registered. This is aimed at improving the support base of the governing APC nationwide.
I would like all members to show commitment and register, in their polling units, in their wards, in their local governments, in their states, and those who happen to be in Abuja, wherever they cast their vote, let them go and register. We want to see the APC firmly on the ground before we leave in 2 years' time.
It's a very necessary exercise, and we are all out to ensure that it is a successful exercise. And for me, we should have nothing less than 100 million Nigerians registered as members of the APC. Why not? I believe that we have every reason to have this party properly repositioned, strengthened, streamlined. The work ahead of APC is huge and massive. We are about 6 years old in office at the federal level. We have achieved so much, and we intend to do so much more.
President Buhari later played host to the Senate President, members of the APC Governors Forum, as well as the caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee, reaffirming his commitment to greater APC.
No more crown from Abuja downwards. Let the people know this and appreciate it, that they are in charge of their constituencies and they are in charge of the party. Then they will, without any incentives, come forward and defend the party at every level. And then we who are leading the party will feel secure and comfortable.
The president used the opportunity to take pride in the achievements recorded so far by his administration and urged the nation's elites to take their part of honor by showing appreciation.
You who are in the field, in charge of your constituencies, you have to make the effort to convince the elite to please give us the due relevance and respect we deserve by working so hard with limited resources.
You are a man, a special human being who God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, uses whenever Nigeria is in trouble. Thank you for making us proud. Thank you for always being there for the party and for the members of our party.
Less than half of what they were getting, and he was able to bail all the states out, do the modest development in both railway and roads in the states, and to continue to make the economy flourish. You have to compare our situation with Venezuela, Angola, and other countries that are dependent on oil to see how best Baba has performed.
Some of the governors present described the registration and revalidation exercise as a worthwhile undertaking.
All stakeholders in the party and teaming millions of supporters across the country are happy with this opportunity to demonstrate their love for our party.
We will make sure that all our party followers are on board going forward.
The exercise will take place in the wards across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT beginning on Tuesday next week. In Daura, Katsina State, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Thank you for joining our Abuja studios. We sincerely apologize for the poor audio from Benin. The federal government says Nigeria's low rating in the 2020 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index is not a true reflection of the great strides by the country in its fight against corruption. A statement signed by the Special Assistant to the Minister of Information and Culture, Segun Adeyemi, says the country's anti-corruption agenda, which has placed great emphasis on corruption prevention measures and the building of integrity systems, remains on course. The minister said the implementation of the various reforms, especially in ease of doing business, is expected to yield positive outcomes in the country's corruption perception and other relevant assessments in the next 12 to 24 months. The minister added that this is because the country has found that up to 40% corruption perception survey indices relate to business processes and general public service delivery processes. Government's swift action has led to major reforms in the processes in the ports and business process points. In addition to placing more emphasis on corruption prevention measures and building of integrity systems, high-profile corruption cases are currently under investigation and prosecution. He says that preventive mechanisms are in response to various local and international reviews and evaluation, which Nigeria has gone through, including those from the United Nations Convention. And the first week of resumption at the Imo State University after the call-off of the ASU strike has witnessed an increase in academic activities. Reina Ohiri, who has been monitoring the situation, reports.
The Imo State University is back to life after the call-off of the prolonged ASU strike, as well as the lockdown arising from the outbreak of COVID-19. While the students' population is still not as it should be, as some of them are yet to return to school, others are, however, back and very much prepared for classes. One common feature among the students is the use of nose masks, as the school had earlier made it compulsory for all students wishing to be allowed into the premises. The NCDC rule on personal distancing was, however, difficult to adhere to as the students were crowded and busy with revision classes.
I'm very ready because it's for the good of all the students.
The school has actually left from so many students, like coming back and then you're writing an exam after a week of resumption.
Many of the students are not here yet. I'm sure the lecturers have been around. We've been having meetings. In terms of resumption, yes.
Students are back. The lecturers are ready. But from what they gave us, we will tidy up with the exams left. By 15th of February, we will start with the second semester.
With academic activities now picking up, it is the hope of all that the students will indeed continue to comply with the COVID-19 safety rules. In Owerri, Reina Ohiri, NTA News.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed another 1,883 new cases of COVID-19 as of the 30th of January 2021. Lagos State has 1,040 cases, the FCT 298, Anambra 88, Oyo 40 and Akwa Ibom 38, Sokoto and Ebonyi 30, Imo and Kaduna 28, Oshun 27, Kano 21, Benue 19 and Edo 17. Others are Gombe State with 15 new cases, Ekiti 9, Delta 8, Jigawa 3, Kwara 2, Bayelsa 2 and Plateau State 1. With this update, the total number of confirmed cases sums up to 130,557, while 103,712 cases have been discharged and 1,578 deaths have been recorded. And after 13 years of legal tussle, the Court of Appeal in The Hague, Netherlands, has ruled in favor of farmers from Bayelsa and River States against the Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, over the pollution of their lands and destruction of their livelihood. Robinson Deratide reports.
In 2008, the Environmental Rights Action Friends of the Earth, on behalf of 4 farmers from Oruma in Bayelsa, Goi in Rivers, and Ikota Daudo in Akwa Ibom states, sued the Shell Petroleum Development Company SPDC and the parent company Royal Dutch Shell at The Hague over the destruction of their means of livelihood as a result of oil spillage. Reacting to the judgment, the acting director, Environmental Rights Action Nigeria, Chime Williams, says the court overturned the lower court judgment, which was in favor of SPDC, and ruled that SPDC was liable for the spillages and should pay the victims compensations, as well as take measures to ensure that no further spills occur in the area. The court, however, deferred ruling on the case of Ikota Daudo in Akwa Ibom State, which SPDC appealed against to give room for further evidence.
A global standard has been set that the oil companies will not only be held responsible for the destruction they cause to any of their host communities, but will also be reprimanded.
This judgment should not go further than Shell to admit and then come and pay me the compensation.
Responding, spokesperson for SPDC, Michael Adanda, expressed dissatisfaction over the outcome of the judgment, which he said was as a result of sabotage and cruel theft, noting that SPDC is committed to operating safely and protecting the local environment. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Deratide, NTA News.
Panorama continues after this time out. Do stay tuned.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Thanks for staying tuned. We'll now rejoin Ugochukwuka in our Benin Network studio. Over to you, Ugochukwuka.
Thank you, Naja'atu. And now to COVID matters. Nigeria, like other countries in the world, is battling the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. In order to flatten the curve, the states and the federal government have initiated safety protocols. Amongst the latest is the COVID-19 Health Protection and Regulations 2021 policy that was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. Obehi Otoba Precise examines the import of the law and the fight against the virus.
The COVID-19 Protection Regulations 2021 law is part of the federal government's efforts to protect the health and well-being of Nigerians in the face of the widespread and rising number of COVID-19 cases in the country. The law comes in 6 parts: restriction of gatherings and operation of public places, mandatory compliance with treatment protocols, offences and penalties, which prescribes either a fine or a term of 6 months imprisonment or both. The law also covers enforcement and application, as well as interpretation and citation. State governors are also given the legal backing to issue COVID-19 regulations as may be considered necessary. Here in Edo State, the task force has commenced enforcement.
Our duty is to monitor to ensure that they are complying fully.
Majority of residents see the law and enforcement process as a step in the right direction.
We don't know who is susceptible or who can go down with this infection. So that's why everybody must protect themselves. So I think he has done well by enacting such law.
We are going to be benefited from, we are going to be protected. So because without him passing such a law, the victim of this very virus will be too much.
To bring down everybody to obedience. When we obey, you see, this thing we are talking about will not escalate.
Despite the different views, there is an obvious unwillingness to default, especially in the wearing of face masks, as everyone in the metropolis is seen wearing one. The state government has since set up a mobile court to prosecute defaulters. In Benin, Obahi Utuba Presai, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio is Dr. Sanwi Iroha. He's the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Edo State, and of course, he's also a member of the task force. You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome to Panorama. Okay, let's just go straight to the point. How is the state going on with the enforcement and application of this new regulations assigned by the President?
Thank you very much. The state, before even the President made his own pronouncement, already had a regulation that was in place, and we had started enforcement of the regulation as it is in Edo State Dangerous Infectious Disease Regulation 2020. And by 15th of this month, January, Edo State government, under the leadership of His Excellency Zagorino Obaseki, updated that law by way of putting some alterations into the number of persons that could be prosecuted for offenses, and also modified the number of people in gatherings. So in Edo State, we already had a law existing, so it was just to complement what Edo State had already started doing. Basically, we have the number 50 in the federal regulation, while in Edo State we have 20. Gathering of 30% of the capacity of halls. And we also encourage that people should do their gatherings in open spaces so that it will reduce infection spread in those gatherings. In addition to that, we changed our own curfew from 12 to 10 p.m. in the night, and we're already enforcing that. And people who are found wanting are prosecuted. We're working with the judiciary mobile courts across the state to ensure that these people are prosecuted appropriately. And most of our sentences are not custodian sentences. We have this non-custodian sentencing that makes people comply and also make it a little more friendly. But these persons will be termed as ex-convict once convicted. And actually render community services to the places or people who they have interacted in those localities where they are found wanting. So in Edo State, the 6 months imprisonment is not what we've been practicing. We practice non-custodian sentencing, whereby people render community service to the public.
Okay, so
that automatically dehumanizes some people, just like somebody being called to go and wash toilets. A very rich person or a big person in the community or society pulled out to come and clear drains.
So that's more humiliating than going to jail for 6 months.
And makes people comply. Many persons will not, because the fees or fines attached to those regulations are very meager, and many persons will readily pay. And knowing that there are other personal issues that people will just consider and say, oh, no, because of the duration. And also when you look at our prisons, they may not have enough spaces in them
to accommodate.
people being sentenced to 6 months in imprisonment. So at those states, we observing non-custodial sentencing for those who fall short of the law of COVID-19 in those states.
Okay, so rightly put, can you give us an estimate of how many people have been?
A number of persons have been persecuted, and at least about 30 persons have been persecuted in those states.
30 from, what's the time frame? I mean,
the law actually came on this new regulation in those states started on the 15th of this month. So you can imagine in the space of, within the period of about 2 weeks, we have done persecution of at least 30 persons. And the focus in those states is not to actually sentence people or persecute them, it's to ensure they comply. So we have been using risk communication to try to minimize persons being found wanting. We have seen our deputy governor go on the streets to ensure that they convince people and direct them on what to do and as appropriate. So for us, we are doing great, and we are not trying to look for people to send to jail. We are trying to look for persons to comply so that we can reduce our infections in Edo State. And moreover, make people take responsibility of their own health.
Okay, because it's a personal
it's a personal
journey now.
Thing, and the state governor has emphasized it so well that we need to protect our lives and our loved ones by ourselves. It's not about government. It's all about doing what is right for us to stay alive till after the COVID-19 pandemic as it is in global.
Okay, so let's go back to enforcement now. We know there is curfew.
Yeah.
But most times enforcement is done during the day. We see them only when it's broad daylight. What plans is the government making to shift it to the evening, night, because we still see nightclubs and night gatherings?
Right now we have had to go around shutting down nightclubs, and the governor has expressly, pronounced this severally, that any nightclub found operating after 10 o'clock in the night, PM, in the Edo State, they will not just close the place down. The persons there and the owner of the nightclub will be persecuted. And in that light, that will be a problem for the person. So the law enforcement agency, police, and the rest of them ensure that the night curfews are properly observed.
Okay. All right,
That's what we'll be doing.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Dr. Saoni Iroha, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Edo State. Thank you so much. And now, sports, Lumide Oguntola is our guide. Let's join him for.
The Nigerian Basketball Federation has assured sports-loving Nigerians that the team list for the third window of the 2021 AfroBasket qualifiers scheduled for Tunisia will soon be made public. Reports indicate that efforts are in top gear to get more players home and abroad to add to our 25-man list of players already penciled down for the event, slated for the 17th to 21st of February 2021. In another development, Oyo State has signified its desire to host the next edition of the National Sport Festival. The chairman of the State Sports Council, Benga Dewusi, made the intention of the state government known to leaders of the state chapter of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria in his office. The required steps towards a successful hosting bid are being taken with renovation of the various stadia across the state. In football, Akwa United picked the maximum 3 points at stake with a Longo victory over Kano Pillars in one of the matches Day 7 of the Nigeria Professional Football League played on Saturday. Meanwhile, Sunday fixtures indicate that Enyimba will lock arms with Katsina United, while it will be a Southwest